The emperor on the golden throne mysteriously disappeared, and a large ball of light was added to maintain the operation of the golden throne. The unlucky adventurer Liu Coin appeared on a slave world planet where fighting was prevalent. He had to fight various monsters every day, and his only golden finger was the physique of an immortal and 2 cheap sons he found. Novel keywords. 40k, where did the emperor go? No pop-ups, 40k. Where did the emperor go? Complete download of TXT, 40k. Where did the emperor go? Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. The Empty Throne. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. The empty throne. Turrigan looked at the empty throne in silence, and the 300 guards lowered their heads in shame. The technical clergy checked the instruments. The emperor is gone, but the star torch is still moving steadily, and the sun in the subspace is still hanging high. Everything is as usual, except that a living corpse is missing from the golden throne. Liu Yuan was punched by Oglin in front of him and fell to the ground, with blood spurting out of his mouth. He could feel that his collarbone must have been inserted into his internal organs. Everyone, hurry up and bet. Can Liu, who is immortal, still live as usual? Put your imperial coins on the table for this battle ceremony presented to the emperor. The commentator and the speakers around the square kept talking incessantly. If that commentator were in front of Liu Yuan, he would definitely pull out his tongue and stuff it into his stomach. Looking at the emperor statue towering on the high platform, Liu Yuan spat blood foam in that direction and stood up again. It seems like death. This is Liu Qian's thought when his body and mind were fatally and severely damaged in countless battles. But he just can't die, and his spirit will only become more and more resilient as he is suppressed and polished. He was originally just an ordinary earth worker, but he didn't expect to travel through time. TM went to such a haunted place, where he was chopped, beaten, and bullied, gradually transforming from a cowardly and inexperienced soft guy to a gladiator who could tear open the enemy's throat without hesitation. The Oglin rushed forward again, and Liu Yuan narrowly dodged on his side before returning to boxing, but the effect was weak. Oglin slapped the Liu Coin with his backhand, causing it to fall to the ground like a doll. The Oglin man raised his hands to cheer for his victory, and most of the audience around him were excited and cheered, while some continued to curse. How could an ordinary person be an opponent of monsters like Oglin, whose power is comparable to that of an interstellar warrior? Fortunately, Liu Coin has a golden finger. He is an eternal being, belonging to a special existence that cannot be killed and will resurrect even if killed. Years of polishing have made him extremely resilient, constantly being knocked down by opponents and constantly getting up. Now even Oglin is not an easy task to kill him. Liu Yuan got up from the ground, patted the soil on his body, spat out a mouthful of blood foam, and raised his fist. Come again. The Oglin ape man was stunned for a moment. His simple mind didn't understand why he didn't die. He usually died in one go. So he continued to step forward and slapped it again. Liu Yuan reached out and stopped the slap on the left, and Liu Yuan was once again thrown out by the fan. This time there is a broken pain in the arm, as if the ribs are also broken, but it's okay as long as they grit their teeth and stand up, they will repair it on their own. His body is such a magical thing that if he cannot be killed, it will eventually make him stronger through repeated injuries. Ah ah ah. Liu Yuan rushed forward with a ferocious face and roared, and attacked Oglin in front of him. Straight fist, left swing fist, right swing fist, kick block, and straight kick. The attack is as dense as a rainstorm falling. Although the damage to the Oglin ape man is not big, the momentum is like a rainbow, which frightens this simple-minded fool. Human physical strength is limited, and prolonged use of such high-intensity attacks is a huge burden on the caster. Quickly, Liu Yuan slowed down, and his attack also angered the Oglin ape man. The Oglin ape man instinctively waved his arm to counterattack when his attack slowed down. This hit directly on Liu Yuan's temple, and after the electric sound of Wang, Liu Yuan couldn't hear any other sound. His limbs stopped moving and he fell straight down. Yeah, I won, he's dead, he's dead. The Oglin fool showed a childlike innocent smile, jumping and cheering. In an instant, Liu Coin saw the lantern of his life. After playing it, a golden figure appeared in his mind, which was supposed to bring him relief. Sigh. Why can't I just die? Liu Yuan's eyes suddenly opened, and then he stood up again amidst the cheers of the audience. Big guy, come here, let's continue fighting, Liu Yuan shouted to the people of Oglin who were celebrating their victory watching Liu Yuan, who had killed him, stand up again. The Oglin ape man showed a look of fear. I can't kill you. I won't fight anymore, Laika won't fight anymore. Laika is afraid, Laika needs to go back. Lika, the Oglin ape man, got up again when he saw Liu Yuan and ran towards the passage in panic. Damn it. You idiot, don't run and keep coming back to fight me. Do you know how much money I invested in you? Go back and fight, this is where we found Oglin. What should the organizer do? Oglin Laika broke through the fence and ran into the passage when he came, leaving the field and betraying him. Liu Yuan won the game without any surprise. Liu Coin, who was dressed, came to the finance department to collect the money. 200 empires. Why is that so much? Liu Yuan frowned and asked after counting the bills in his hand. That's it, do you like it or not? The chubby middle-aged man smoked without even looking at Liu Yuan. Liu Yuan glanced at the two security guards surrounding him, frowned, and said, we agreed to win 1,000. Isn't your appearance too unattractive? Middle-aged man. How about eating you? Liu Yuan suddenly smiled slightly and said, that's good. I'll be at ease with my next tasks, after all, you didn't follow the rules for now. The middle-aged man suddenly felt something was wrong and said, what are you doing? Liu Yuan opened his clothes and it was a shock bullet. Touch. There was an explosion, and everyone in the room fell to the ground, with a buzzing sound in their ears. Lu Qian recovered faster than everyone else. He stood up from the ground and went to the middle-aged man's desk to pull open the fat pig. He found 2 bundles of money in the cabinet and put them into his pocket first. Then he took out the gun from him and pointed it at the only safe in the room, which was 2 shots. The power of the modified Warhammer gun was not comparable to that of a gun in his world. Even a single shot in cement could make a hole, and 2 shots could easily destroy a safe. There was also a dead fat pig buying a safe because it shouldn't have been a high-end item bought at a high price. Liu Yuan easily opened it and saw the money and some documents inside. Lu Qian didn't care what it was, he found a pocket and put it inside. He took the money bag and added another layer to the garbage bag. He didn't take it out directly, but went to the garbage transportation port and put a pig's head sticker on it before throwing it in. The money bag went down the passage, and at this moment, a bald and blonde child were waiting by the garbage truck. They immediately stopped the bag with a pig head sticker, and the 2 children quickly hid in the garbage bag in a nearby garbage truck. Not long after, the driver of the garbage truck returned and saw a car filled with garbage. The driver asked in a strange way, have I finished loading the entire truck? Although it was strange, the driver didn't think much and got in the car, started the engine, and drove away. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. A Family of 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. A family of 3. Liu Yuan arrived at the entrance of the arena and walked to the inspection gate. The inspectors asked Liu Yuan to flip things out and confirm that there were no suspicious items before releasing them. Of course, the ease of release is also the reason why they drew half of the reward from Liu's 400 imperial coins. To cover up, Liu Yuan pretended to show a displeased but hesitant expression like those around him, and turned around to leave. Liu Yuan didn't go home but went straight to the station. The arena was not a group of virtuous men and faithful women, and Liu Yuan couldn't have snatched their money and returned home waiting to be caught. Arrive at the B station train station, which is the most crowded station and also the peak departure time. You will leave when you arrive. Liu Yuan saw a small clothing store and looked at the worn-out watch in his hand. After confirming that there was still some time left, he walked in and bought 2 sets of children's clothing. He wrapped them in plastic bags and held them in his arms before heading to the station. The Warhammer 40K is the future world, but the trains in the underdeveloped cities on this backward agricultural planet do not have much sci-fi feel, but rather are steam trains that burn coal. Liu Bin calculated the time very well. He stepped on the train and almost got on the train with his front foot and the back foot, and the train rang and started. The train chimney spewed out a thick mist and slowly started moving away from the station platform. Liu Yuan walked towards the booked train carriage, and as soon as he opened the car door, he saw 2 children aged around 7 or 8 changing clothes. A blonde-haired person with a charming and even holy appearance, just like an angel descending from heaven. But there were 2 terrifying scars on his skin from his back to his scapula, as if someone had cruelly torn off the skin there. The injuries were shocking, combined with the child's innocent and obedient face temperament, making people unable to help but feel pity. The other bald person is not inferior to him, even if his face is covered in dirt, it cannot conceal a noble and leader-like temperament that he was born with, which is a different kind of unparalleled charm. Father multiplied by 2. The 2 children exclaimed with joy when they saw the arrival of Liu Coin. Liu Yuan reached out and touched the heads of the 2 children, who squinted and enjoyed their father's warm and rough hands. Liu Qian said, "You 2 kids have a foul odor all over you. Why don't you go wash them up quickly?" The blonde boy said, "I just said hiding in a garbage truck is too disgusting. Xiaohe insisted on getting inside, which made our bodies smell too bad. The security guard forbade us from going to the front hall to get in the car, so we had to climb over the wall with our luggage." The bald boy said, "Is it safe like this? Didn't you also say that this was a good idea before making the plan, Xiao Sheng?" Liu Yuan found towels and soap from the nearby suitcase, and then found some water to wet them before scrubbing the bodies of the 2 boys one by one. Liu Yuan cleaned the 2 young boys, wiping their dirty faces, necks, bodies, buttocks, and feet, and then took out 2 plastic pockets. "Xiao Sheng and Xiao He asked curiously, 'What is this?' "Look for yourself." Liu Yuan handed 2 plastic bags to 2 young boys. Xiao Sheng and Xiao He opened the clothes inside and laughed happily, "It's new clothes." Liu Coin is a traveler, and the money he brought to this world naturally cannot buy things here. In addition, due to language barriers for a long time, he made a living by picking up garbage and hunting. However, his hunting skills are poor, and even picking up garbage cannot fill his stomach. In fact, he has starved to death many times, but he will soon come back to life after death. If it weren't for being an immortal, he wouldn't have lived until now. Later, when I met Xiao Sheng and Xiao He, I went from being hungry for 9 meals in 3 days to having a little bit of food every day, no longer hungry. A 2.5-month-old ghost can give birth to wild beasts, and the first meal that Liu Yuan can truly count as a meal is a large local feline that the 2 little ghosts killed. With a body size similar to that of a northeast tiger, but able to jump and run sensitively between roofs and trees like a cat, Liu Yuan has been bitten to death the most times except for starving to death. For a long time, the father and son relied on hunting in the wild and picking up things in the garbage dump to make a living. It wasn't until Liu Yuan learned the local language and joined the local gang, then fought Black Fist underground, that he earned some money and got rid of the life of a wild family of 3. Because they were very poor, the clothes they wore were all old goods from the street vendors or sewn with rags they picked up, so getting new clothes made Xiao Sheng and Xiao He very happy. The reason for naming the 2 children Xiao Sheng and Xiao He is simple. When you first see them, you see 2 giants turning into 2 babies under the influence of mysterious powers, as well as the style and logo on the power armor left behind. Liu Yuan, the Hammer Man, knows who those 2 people are. The genetic pathogen St. Gillis and Horus, although they didn't know how they got here and turned into children, Liu Yuan still picked them up. Liu Yuan did not tell the two little guys about their backgrounds, and their armor was also buried in a pit. Now telling them about this will only add to their troubles. Didi. The phone on his waist rang, and Liu Yuan took the call and said, "Hello." A deep threat sounded from the other side, "You're doomed, kid. I advise you to return your things and money as soon as possible, otherwise the Emperor won't be able to save you. I swear I'll catch you and kill you, marinate you into bacon, and then fry sausages with red wine to eat." Liu Yuan said calmly, "Oh, I'm so scared. You have no idea who you have offended, you have not only provoked the arena." Liu Yuan didn't say anything nonsense. He hung up his phone, took out his SIM card, and threw it out of the window. Then, he and his two sons opened the garbage bag and lightly clicked on the combat items. As soon as the bag was opened and flipped, bundles of banknotes burst out, and the three of them excitedly discussed the spending plan for this huge sum of money. Xiao Xing picked up a brown file bag and asked, "Father, what is this?" Liu Yuan took the file bag and sealed it with fire paint, saying, "Open it and you'll know." Liu Yuan tore open the document bag and took out a few pages of paper. He couldn't understand the words on them, but the logo on the opening document made him sweat and sweat from his back. That is a symbol that he is extremely familiar with a skull in the middle of a bundle of 3 horizontal beams. Liu Yuan quickly put the documents back into the bag and was about to throw them out of the train window. However, he thought about what to do if it was something important, so he finally put them back in his pocket and hid them. Xiaohe. What is written in father's book? Liu Coin. I don't know the characters. Xiao Sheng. Why is father so nervous? Liu Coin. Because I recognized the sign above, I knew we must have caused a big trouble this time. Xiao Sheng. Is that logo very powerful? Liu Coin. That's the symbol of the trial court. Xiaohe. What is the trial court? Liu Coin. The trial court is. Zila. The train suddenly braked and slowed down. Liu Yuan's heart skipped a beat, thinking to himself that he didn't come here so quickly, did he? I'm dead set now. If I come out and mess around, I'll kick the iron plate. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Midway Parking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Midway Parking. The train stopped midway, making Liu Yuan and others alert like frightened birds. Xiaohe opened the middle layer of his suitcase, which contained 3 automatic weapons sold on the local black market and several grenades. Liu Yuan asked the 2 young people to stay in the carriage while he went out to see the situation. Arriving outside the carriage, I saw everyone sticking their heads out the window and looking around, as if curious about why the car had stopped. At this moment, a ticket inspector passed by and Liu Yuan took out his ticket and handed it to the other party, saying, "May I ask what happened? Why did the car stop?" Ticket inspector. It seems like a big shot is getting on the train, but we don't know the specifics. It's none of your business to inquire more. The ticket inspector arrived at the door of the car, opened the car door, nodded and bowed to the outside of the car, and 2 men and women walked in. A man with a firm and resolute face is a tough guy who is not angry or arrogant, with a tall and upright figure, which is synonymous with bravery at first glance. The woman has blonde hair and a ponytail, deep blue eyes, and is dressed in a wide robe. Although she cannot see the whole, the beautiful legs she takes out during her actions are enough to make people daydream. Please, this way. The ticket inspector led the 2 people towards their carriage, just as they were walking towards Liu Yuan. The woman didn't make Liu Yuan pay too much attention, on the contrary, that man Liu Yuan was a bit. Well, if you like it, it feels too gay, because it's a feeling that paying more attention to him will bring interesting things to happen, as if you have noticed him many times. The 2 of them passed by Liu Yuan in the wrong direction. Liu Yuan nodded slightly and saluted the man, who gave him a deep glance. A moment of confusion flashed in the man's eyes, as if he had noticed something but couldn't grasp it. After seeing the two of them walk away, Liu Yuan returned to his carriage and the train quickly started again. Contrary to Liu Yuan's expectations, the train stopped midway and was not aimed at them. The ticket inspector opened the carriage and said, "This is everyone's carriage. Just call me if you need it." "Excuse me," said the man, pushing a few tips into the ticket inspector's hand. "I can't accept this," the ticket inspector evaded. "Man, a little thank you, can you help us get some food? We're a bit hungry." The ticket inspector happily accepted the tip and said, "Please wait a moment." The ticket inspector left, and the man placed his salute in the compartment. He breathed a sigh of relief and lay on the small bed, comfortably stretching his body. The woman took out her dressing mirror and began to apply makeup. "Take a good night's sleep. When we meet your troops in Billy City, you, the hero of the Empire, have another speech, Arcane Grand Commissar." "Amberly, that man just gave me a familiar feeling," said Kaiphas Kane as he lay in bed. "Do you know anyone?" Amberly took off her robe, reached out and wiped her courtroom marker before putting it back into the inner compartment. Political Commissar Kane said, "I'm not sure. He looks too ordinary and can't be found in a crowd, but he gives me a very different feeling, like." Amberly. "Like what?" Political Commissar Kane. "I can't describe it." "Is it a positive impression?" Amberly asked as she checked her weapons and equipment. Political Commissar Kane said, "I have a good feeling, but at the same time, I feel like I'm in trouble, still those troubles that I can't get rid of." At this moment, the carriage door was knocked, and the carriage attendant pushed the food to their room. After Political Commissar Kane paid, the carriage attendant left. Amberly cut the meat cutlet with a knife and fork and said, "Maybe you overthink it. After finishing your meal, take a nap, and your mind will be clear so that you won't be overthinking." Kane sat across from Amberly and began to eat. "You're right, the world is vast, and eating is the greatest." Lu Bin returned to the carriage, and Xiaohe and Xiaoxing saw Lu Bin come back and asked about the situation. Lu Qian said, "It's not our business here. There were two big shots getting on the bus midway." Xiaoxing. "That's good, by the way, father. Where are we going next?" Lu Binyi patted the box and said, "With this money, wherever we go, our third son can also enjoy a lifetime of leisure. He will buy a house in the capital and send you two to school. When you grow up, he will marry you and have a few children." Xiao Hele smiled and said, "Xiao Sheng is most favored by those ladies. Every time we go to mend clothes, those aunties and aunties like to come over and touch Xiao Sheng's face, and there are also little girls who send him flowers." Xiao Sheng couldn't help but say, "It seems like you haven't been touched by those aunties before." "Father, I reported Xiao He's sweet-talking and deceiving little girls' pocket money, saving money to buy hair growth agents." Liu Yuan looked at Xiao He and reached out, "Where's the money?" Xiaohe helplessly took out a handful of money from his pocket, including paper and coins, and said, "Ah. I'm afraid of traders in everything." Liu Yuan took the money and said, "There's still quite a bit left. If you don't learn well at a young age, scumbags will cheat young girls out of money. Have you ever cheated on sex?" Xiaohe. "How old am I? How can I cheat on women, and I can't be called a scam? I exchanged the ring with them. This is a commercial transaction, you can do as I please." Liu Coin. "They. More than one. What other rings do they have?" Xiaohe took out a circular ring from his pocket, which was made of straw, curved iron wire, and a can. The ring was smashed with trash that was basically worthless to no one. Liu Yuan picked up a grass ring and said incredulously, "Can you even sell this trash for money?" Xiaohe. "Does this prove that your son and I have skills?" After the train arrived at the station, the area around the station had already been cleared by soldiers, and the passengers on board were also told not to get off the train until Political Commissar Kane and Judge Ambry in the carriage got off, and the soldiers escorted them away, before the other passengers were released from the train. Mr. Liu Bini got off the car 3 times and sighed, being a high-ranking official is just about prestige. Wherever you go, you get preferential treatment. Xiao Sheng. Is my father going to become a high-ranking official? Lu Qian shook his head and said, forget it, I'm not suitable for being an official. By the way, what about Xiaohe? I noticed you at first glance in the vast sea of people, the person I was destined to be looking for. Xiaohe wore a mesmerizing and desperate smile on his face, and with one hand, he slammed a little girl against the station pillar. He reached out and took out a Ken ring, saying, this ring is filled with my fiery love. For just 1 yuan, this love will be in your hands. The little girl took out a coin from her pocket and said, but I only have 50 cents. Xiaohe quickly sent the little girl to take the money, which even the spirit warrior could not catch up with. It doesn't matter. Love and money don't matter, as long as I receive your heart, it's enough. Do you have sisters or friends? Introduce them, and love will be shared more and more. Lu Yuan covered his face and said, Xiao Sheng, bring that goods back to me. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Black Market Certification. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 5. Plan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Plan, Brothers Unity Ring, you only need 2 pieces to obtain this symbol of friendship. What are you waiting for? Buy one for your brother and exchange the ring to prove that your friendship will last forever. Xiaohe was chatting confidently with 2 children at the entrance of the local school, boasting that the Ken ring in his hand was non-existent, just like this pair in the world. The 2 children were obviously fooled by Xiaohe and began to take out money from their pockets, then took out the crumpled 2 yuan. Completing the transaction, Xiaohe counted the piles of money and coins in his hand and said, get rich. The fools in the city are much easier to deceive than those in the slums. Xiao Xing came to Xiao He and said, we should go shopping now. It's already getting late. Xiaohe. I got it. I'll come now. Stop. A group of young thugs dressed in hip-hop style hair dyed in various colors, with earrings and nose studs, suddenly approached and surrounded Xiaohe and Xiaosheng. The largest one does not exceed 20, at least 30 or so. The boss is them selling things on our territory and earning a lot of money. A shaved green hair, like a dog gnawing, pointed at Xiaohe and said. A boy with blue hair and a scar on his face, carrying a baseball bat and knocking on the floor, came to Xiaohe with a naturally fierce expression. He glared fiercely at Xiaohe and Xiaosheng, that little brat from there. He said. Xiaosheng glanced at Xiao He, did you mean you came or I came? Seeing the weak momentum on the other side, Lon Fa immediately showed off his strength and smiled, want to make friends? Alright, you just need to invite everyone to a big meal and give each person a big red envelope of 100, and we'll give you this friend. TM gave you some color, and you even opened a dyeing workshop, Xiaohe kept smiling. Suddenly, he kicked his blue-haired face, and the huge momentum immediately knocked the blue-haired leader and the little brother behind him to the ground. The thugs surrounding Xiao Sheng and Xiao He took out their guys and started hitting them, but Xiao Sheng's reaction was faster than theirs. He had no idea what happened and was thrown to the ground, causing pain all over his body, as if he was hit by more than 10 fists in an instant, losing his combat power immediately. Xiao He and Xiao Sheng flipped over more than 30 piers in just a few seconds, although in fact, Xiao Sheng and Xiao He should be in a 7-month-old physical and mental state now. When they were full term, they could fight wild beasts. Now, if they had a killing heart, they wouldn't be lying on the ground sealing off small thugs, but rather scattered pieces of meat and organs. Xiaohe picked up a machete on the ground and said, it's really fierce. I've used all the knives. Xiaohe approached Blue Hair, who lay on the ground wriggling and retreating like a maggot. Big brother, I was wrong. I have no eyes, please let go of me. Xiaohe was playing with a knife flower, and the knife danced gracefully in her palm like a butterfly. The person who watched it exclaimed that it was amazing, even the blue hair was stunned. He didn't expect that there was someone in the world who could play with the knife so beautifully, and he couldn't help but feel a sense of admiration for Xiaohe. Xiaohe looked at her blue hair and said, I really don't like your hair. Let me give you a haircut. Don't refuse. As he spoke, he walked behind Blue Hair and placed one hand on his shoulder. Then Blue Hair heard the whistling sound of a knife wind blowing through his head. In an instant, he was on the left and on the right, and in an instant, he reached his head again. With the howling of the knife, strands of his hair fell down. Xiaohe asked while cutting her hair, did you cover this school? Lan Fa said, I dare not dare not. We will definitely not disturb you again in the future. Xiaohe chuckled and said, don't be so nervous, relax a bit. Your shoulders are too hard. If I cut my neck, it wouldn't be good. Blue Hair was so scared that he even peed. This is going to kill me. Xiaohe. Are there any other gangs nearby? I'm talking about real gangs, not you little rascals. Blue Hair dared not conceal. The leader of the mafia, MLU, manages 1/3 of the bars and brothels in the city. He has several thousand subordinates and heard that they still have guns. If he wants to kill anyone, he will kill them. Even the local prosecutor dare not control him. Xiaohe's eyes flickered with a hint of brilliance and he said, oh, that's it. Is there any way to find him or know where his house is? Lan Fa said, we don't know about this, but once we saw him on the street outside the Royal Casino. He had dozens of bodyguards at the front and back, and several cars were following him when he left. Xiaohe pondered silently, but the task at hand did not stop or delay for a moment. It was quickly completed. Xiaohe extended his knife to Blue Hair and used the blade as a mirror for him. Blue Hair looked at himself in the reflection. The shaved hair on his head was so clean that he didn't even leave a single hair behind. Blue-haired, no, bald with a mournful face. The money he spent dyeing his hair was only left after he had been frugal for a long time. Xiaohe. Are you satisfied? Bald head. Satisfied and satisfied. Can you not be satisfied with the useless knife holder around your neck? Xiaohe. Shenghui costs 1,000 yuan. Bald. What? 1,000. This. This is also too. It's too valuable. Boss, I earned this skill of 1,000 yuan. Don't just lie down and pretend to be dead, quickly take out the money to make ends meet. 30 or so subordinates pooled together 675 yuan and 60 cents, and Xiaohe's subordinate said, I owe the remaining money for now. I'll come over and pay it in 3 days. If you dare not come. Bald. I dare not, we will definitely come on time. Watching the thugs leave, Xiaohe happily counted his money and looked at Xiaohe's happy smile. Xiaoxing asked, have a good day today. Xiaohe. Of course, several hundred yuan has been credited. Xiaoxing said, but you're definitely not happy about that little money. You're happy about those little thugs and the local gang bosses you've heard about. Xiaohe hugged Xiaoxing's shoulder and said, you are the one who knows me, Xiaoxing. Xiaoxing. You made those thugs come to you 3 days later with the intention of taking them for your own use. Can they succeed? Xiaohe. I found a few clever ones. Cultivating them more can still be effective. Xiaoxing shook his head and said, Father brought us here because he doesn't want us to join the gang. You're doing this. Xiaohe. I didn't want to be the black boss, it's just that my dad is on his own, and we don't have much support here. I just want to have more strength to live a good life here in the future. Xiaoxing. Yes, yes, yes. Unify the local mafia, then intervene in the local upper-class society, and finally become a planetary governor. Xiaohe patted Xiaoxing's shoulder and said, I'm not for myself. At the train station, you also heard my father envy those officials. I just want to send a governor to my father as a pawn. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Housekeeping. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 7. Wounds. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Wounds. Although he had money, he couldn't sit idly by. Liu Yuan started looking for a job, thinking he had snatched a lot of money from the arena. But only when I arrived in a real big city did I realize that this amount of money was not a big deal. Spending money was like flowing water, and I couldn't help but be afraid of poverty. Without a fixed income, I felt very anxious. However, in order to find a caring job, one needs to have identification, so today the three of us went to Scar Man's place to pick up things together. Mr. Liu and his three companions were walking on the street when they suddenly noticed that many people were surrounding them on both sides of the road. Liu Yuan asked the people around him, "What are you doing?" "Marching parade, I heard there's going to be war." Liu Coin. War. It seems like something called the Black Legion is about to attack. It's not the Black Legion, it's a fleet of subordinates. So there are so many subordinates. I heard what my nephew said. My nephew is a military officer. "What's wrong, Dad?" asked Xiao He, with a bitter expression on his face. Lu Qian sighed and said, "We're going to war." Xiao He. "Just fight, what's our business?" Liu Coin said, "I hope we only come to fight ordinary troops, not a stat or something, otherwise we might have to drill underground." Xiao He. "Is that Black Legion so powerful?" Liu Yuan pondered, "It seems that we can't stay in this capital for long. We need to find a safer place to hide. It would be great if we had a spaceship." Xiao Sheng. "We can't even fly a spaceship. I've read from a book that a commercial spaceship requires hundreds of captains and sailors." Xiao He. "How about we join the army?" Liu Coin. "Let's die faster then." Xiao He. "Dad, you can't die again." Liu Yuan thought for a moment, maybe this is a way to join the Star Realm army and then find a way to send the two kids to a garden world. He just doesn't know if a family like me wants it or not. Xiao Sheng. "Dad, what are you thinking?" Liu Yuan shook his head and said, "It's nothing. Look, the marching army is here." Lu Qian diverted the attention of the two little ones. The flag was flying, and the military band was loudly playing, "How Can I Forget You, Earth." Walking confidently on the highway with a laser gun on his shoulder, the Q neatly displayed his spirit as an imperial warrior to the surroundings. A large number of people around waved the double-headed eagle flag and emblem of the Holy Emperor, cheering warmly. "Long live the Emperor! Long live the Lord of Humanity!" A fanatical church believer held a cross and pushed forward desperately, almost knocking Lu Qian to the ground. Liu Coin. Hurry up, there's nothing to look at. There are more and more people, and there's no reason to knock over or step on them." The father and son squeezed out the crowd and left towards the direction of fewer people, as the Star Army parade was crowded and dense. Liu Yuan saw a dessert shop and was about to ask the two little ones if they wanted some, when suddenly Xiao Xing grabbed Liu Yuan's hand and pulled him down. Puff. A very faint sound, but Liu Yuan heard it. A needle was inserted next to Liu Yuan, and if it weren't for Xiao Xing just pulling him, he would have been pricked. There is a glass tube at the back end of the needle that contains a green liquid that is not good at first glance. As soon as Liu Yuan raised his head, Xiao He flew out like an arrow. Liu Yuan didn't see the person who shot him, but he saw Xiao He turn into an alley. Xiao Sheng and Liu Coin didn't stretch out and quietly walked into the alley. Then they saw Xiao He pinching a man's cheeks with one hand and pressing her hand with the other, which had a launching device on its wrist. His other hand was drooping, and at first glance, all he knew was that Xiaohe must have dislocated it for him, making it impossible for him to use that hand. Lu Qian. Is this a warrior? Xiaohe. A very professional assassin, with poison hidden in his teeth. Lu Yuan nodded and asked the other person, are you sent from the arena? The man doesn't speak, and of course, Xiaohe can't speak even if he pinches his cheek. However, Lu Yuan had no intention of hearing the answer from him. After seeing a hint of disdain for his question in the man's eyes, Lu Yuan knew the rough answer. After taking the death attendant from Xiaohe's hand, Lu Yuan said, you guys go out. Xiaohe and Xiaoxing glanced at each other and left the alley, and Lu Qian dealt with each other cleanly. Liu Coin didn't want Xiaoxing and Xiaohe to have lives in their hands. He hoped that these things would stay away from them, but what Liu Coin didn't know was that Xiaohe and Xiaoxing had already had meat in their hands. Lu Yuan walked out of the alley with a gloomy expression on his face and said, we need to find another place. I didn't expect a gang robbery to cause so many things. Political Commissar Kane sat on the armored vehicle of the Fire Lizard. Although his car was walking at the front, the protagonist of this parade was not him, but the little girl in the gorgeous sedan behind him. Jola Jotunheim, the little princess of the Jotunheim family, who is known as the treasure of the Scary universe, and the task of Kane's political commissar is to protect her safety. Xiaoxing suddenly stopped and reached out to cover his shoulder. Lu Yuan also felt Xiaoxing's abnormality for the first time and asked, what's wrong, Xiaoxing? Xiaoxing said, I don't know what's going on with the shoulder wound, it's burning and painful. Liu Coin and Xiaohe looked at Xiaoxing's back in surprise, only to see a flickering white light shining behind him. Lu Yuan quickly took off his coat and covered the back of Xiaoxing, then he carried Xiaoxing on his back and headed home. Returning home, Lu Yuan asked Xiaohe to find medicine, while he asked Xiaoxing to climb down and open his clothes to look. He saw that the wound was emitting white light, but when he returned home, the light had become much weaker and gradually stopped flickering. Liu Coin. It doesn't shine anymore. Do you still feel anything on Xiaoxing's back? Xiaoxing. The pain is no longer there. For the sake of safety, Lu Yuan still applied some medicine to him. Whether it was useful or not, he felt relieved after using it. Lu Yuan was puzzled and said, how could the wound on your back suddenly shine, little saint? Xiaoxing. I'm not sure about that either. Lu Bindan thought to himself, you can't go to the hospital in this situation. I wonder if it will cause any harm to your body. Xiaoxing. It's okay, father. I'm feeling better now because I might have an allergy to something. Xiaohe. Did that assassin leave behind any moves? Xiaoxing was hit. Lu Qian said, let's go to the black market to recruit doctors and see if things are that simple. After a meal, the three of them immediately headed to the black market. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Wanted Orders. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Wanted Orders. On the way to the black market, a flyer drifted in the wind and happened to cover Lu Yuan's face. When Lu Yuan took it down and looked up, he saw a figure flashing past a high rooftop, but he couldn't really tell who it was. Lu Yuan turned his attention to the flyer in his hand, and at first glance, he was frightened to death. It turned out to be a wanted notice for him, Xiaoxing, and Xiaohe, with charges of treason. A bounty of 10 million yuan could be caught. Xiaohe climbed onto her father's shoulder and said, good boy, are we so valuable? I want to take myself to appreciate it. Xiaoxing said strangely, who is that sharp-eared woman? Why did she help us? Sharp-eared woman. Did you see her appearance? Lu Yuan asked. Liu Coin saw a shadow flash by, and didn't see anything else. He was truly a mortal compared to his two sons. Xiaoxing nodded and said, a woman with pointed ears is particularly beautiful and has a slender body compared to ordinary people, but her muscle strength must be very strong. Lu Qian scratched his head and said, that must be the Spirit Clan, but why did the spirit clan help us? Xiaohe joked, could it be your old friend, Dad, who came to help us when you were in trouble? Lu Binbai glanced at Xiaohe and pointed to himself, your father, I want to look unattractive, be poor and beg for food, and spend more than 10 yuan all over my body. If you're good with me, you must ask me for something, right? Lu Qian touched his chin and said, I guess he must have taken a liking to my immortal constitution. Most likely, he is a kidney transplant party and plans to get involved and take me back to sell my kidney transplant. Xiaohe looked at Xiaoxing and said, does the spirit clan lack kidneys? Xiaoxing shrugged and said, you ask me, who am I asking? I am not a spirit race. Lu Yuan patted his thigh and said, oh my. How could I not have thought of it? The two children asked in unison, do you remember who that person is? Lu Yuan looked like he had missed a good opportunity and said, I am an immortal. Can I cut off my own kidney and sell it? After selling my suicide kidney, I will come back to sell it when I come back, and then we will sell it. Xiaohe. Dad, you have enough capital. You won't be a wandering merchant anymore. Lu Qian said, I also want to, but we don't have High Lord visas, and even as black merchants, we don't have ships. Xiaohe. Can't we apply for a fake certificate? Let's sign it ourselves, maybe we can fool it. Lu Binbai glanced at Xiaohe and said, who are we? Do they believe us? The Ministry of the Interior is all from Oglin. Xiaoxing. Don't talk about those useless things anymore. What should we do next? We are wanted for treason, so we definitely can't stay here anymore. Liu Coin said, I guess it must be the document from the trial court that caused the trouble. Being targeted by the trial court, we can't survive within the empire. Xiaohe. I heard that the Black Army is coming over. How about we go and join them? Lu Yuan scratched his head in despair and said, invest in chaos. Don't you want to? Do the three of us, the master, want to get to such a miserable situation? Xiaoxing said, Dad once said that throwing chaos is so miserable that it can't be any worse. People who throw themselves under the command of evil gods can't be considered human anymore, so we might as well die happily. Xiaohe. Can we also start a new life? Dad, didn't you say that there was a person named One Piece named Huron who could compete with the Empire even without joining the chaos? Liu Coin often tells the two boys about various things related to the 40k Warhammer, telling them what it means to die and how to survive. Knowing more can help them avoid being tricked, probably. Before crossing the river, Liu Coin was also flustered by the 4 vendors all day long, but later he was not afraid. It wasn't because of any backstabbing, but because his food and drink were enough to make him suffer. At first, Lu Yuan didn't want to give the 2 novels too much, but when he thought of the people in the Warhammer story who knew nothing about chaos and were pitted, he simply said it all. He knew that after so long, the 4 vendors didn't come to trouble him, so he decided to tell them all. Regarding the transfer topic, Lu Yuan shook his head and said to Xiao He, when someone betrayed Huron, someone had a gun and territory, and their star domain was also a natural place to be a local emperor. We don't have anything, do we? Even a wanted order from the trial court can make us run away. Just as the 3 of them felt like there was no way from heaven to earth, Xiaoxing suddenly exclaimed, Dad, there is a word on the back of the wanted notice. Lu Yuan turned around the wanted notice and saw an address and time written on the back. At night, Lu Yuan disguised himself and arrived at a high-end restaurant, wearing a big beard, a coat, and a high hat. The 2nd largest restaurant in the city, the 1st largest restaurant. Tonight, the governor is hosting the Star Realm army and various nobles, but being able to book a place to eat here is already impressive. As soon as they arrived at the restaurant, a waiter greeted Lu Yuan and said, Sir, Ms. Leileilis has been waiting for you for a long time. Lu Yuan followed the waiter into the restaurant, which was empty with no guests except for the waiter. Sir, please leave here, the waiter saluted. Liu Yuan followed the waiter up the second floor on a magnificent long staircase, which was wide enough for 3 trains to be dispatched. The wooden workmanship of the staircase handrails and the gold decoration on them were worth a lot at first glance, and the luxury was to the extreme. Liu Yuan was guided by the waiter to the balcony on the second floor, where an unparalleled beauty sat on a chair next to the white cloth dining table. The red backless dress showcases her smooth skin on her jade back, and the black high heels are a master's work at first glance with their patterns and design. The waiter approached with Liu coins and whispered to the woman, "The person you are waiting for is here." The woman turned her head to look at Liu Yuan. Her pure white skin immediately reminded Liu Yuan of the word skin as white as snow. The 2 red ruby earrings swayed like blood droplets, seeming to hypnotize the heart. "Liu Yuan, pay attention to her ears, aren't they sharp? Is it a spell hidden, or is it not a spirit clan that gives itself a wanted warrant during the day?" Leilei nodded at the waiter and waved her hand to signal for him to come down. After the waiter bowed and left, Leilei stood up and bowed respectfully to Liu Yuan with her left hand pressing on her heart. "Hello, it's my honor to meet you." Her voice is like a heavenly melody, with a delicate velvet-like voice, and her tone carries full respect for Liu Yuan. There was only one thought in Liu Yuan's mind. The woman had mistaken someone. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Way Out. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 10. Assassination. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator.